Hey friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Lynn, and today's video is a little bit different to my normal paper crafting tutorial because I had the pleasure and honor of sitting down and chatting with one of my dear friends and amazingly talented designer, Lala, who is Mommy Guide Inc. here on YouTube. One of the things that I've always been really curious and fascinated by is what is it like to be a crafter, a designer from outside of the United States? Lala lives in the Philippines, and it's amazing for me to learn and hear about what crafting looks like in the Philippines, not only in the sense of what is it like for her as a Filipino designer, especially one who is on design teams that are largely US based, but what does crafting actually look like in the Philippines? I think one of the things that I was most intrigued by and found really special was the parts where Lala shared local cards. If you walked into a store and you bought a card in the Philippines, what might those cards look like? She also crafted with supplies that are locally sourced, and the craft supplies available to her locally from companies that are local in the Philippines. That to me was a real treat to see what crafting, card making, scrapbooking supplies look like from Filipino companies who make and produce products for their local craft community. I thought that was a real treat, very different to the projects that I see Lala share on her channel and on her social media because she arguably creates content mostly for US viewers. So it was really fascinating to me to pick her brain and learn about what she thinks about as an international designer who is crafting to a largely US based audience. And as well, from the perspective of somebody who lives in the United States like me, I feel like I'm really spoiled for options and opportunities. It never feels like it's hard to get crafty supplies because so many craft companies are based in the United States. And even the ones that aren't based in the US readily ship to the United States, sometimes even with free shipping if you order enough. So I always feel like it's never hard for me to get the latest and greatest craft supplies. And it's not like that for all the countries and crafters from outside the US. A lot of companies don't ship globally. Some might ship to some countries, but not all countries. And so crafters who don't live in the US may not have access to all the same things. And from the perspective of being a content creator, I also feel quite spoiled because opportunities to join design teams are kind of plentiful. It's not to say that it's easy to join a design team, but I'm not disqualified right out of the gates because of where I live. And that's often the case for our international friends and designers and content creators from overseas because many US based companies don't ship to international designers. So often that can be the very first line of any design team call: US only designers, please. So it was kind of curious to learn how what Lala thinks about that, and she's managed to break through some of those barriers and design for US based, largely US based companies or teams. And so it's quite interesting to get her perspective because a lot of times international based companies, so companies that maybe are shipping out of the UK or Australia, they do welcome US based designers. That might be because they know that lots of potential customers are coming from the US. So I just feel like being in the United States and being a crafter, I'm so spoiled for options and opportunities. And so I was always really curious to learn what it's like to be a crafter who doesn't reside in the US and what the opportunities and what's available to them in their native country. So this was such a fascinating interview for me, and I had a really fun time chatting with Lala. It was 4 hours that we sat down, chatted, and Lala did some crafting, which I think is really special. So what I've done is edited that video down, and that's what you're watching now, or after I wrap up this intro. But my channel members, I'm going to actually make the full interview available to you with minimal effort, minimal edits. So I hope you enjoy this video. If you're watching this and you are a craft company, I would love your thoughts on what it's like to work with international designers. And if you are a designer outside of the United States, I would love to hear your perspective as well. So please drop those comments below. Let me know your thoughts. And if you're a crafter here in the US, let me know if you have ever thought about these things and if you also find this topic intriguing and exciting, because I would love to do more of these collaboration videos because I always feel like I learn so much. So without further ado, please enjoy my interview and craft session with Lala, Mummy Guide Inc. here on YouTube. Welcome, Lala. Thank you for joining me today. I'm very excited to have you on and to be doing this collaboration with you because very interested in learning from your perspective what it's like to be a crafter who is not based in the United States. You're across the ocean from me. And so I'm always very fascinated by what it's like to be a crafter who is in just a totally different country, who
Mhm.
speaks a different language, but who makes content that many of us in the United States love to watch. And so I hope through this video we can learn a little bit more about you and about what it's like for you and maybe what crafting is like in the Philippines. So before we get into that, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and, who you are, maybe what your background is,
Mhm.
and how did you get into crafting?
Again, thank you so much, Lynn, for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure to actually be here and giving me an opportunity to actually showcase and at the same time share my experience as a crafter, as you said, who's many miles away, oceans away, right? Several oceans away from where you are, but somehow the community that we are both a part of has embraced my platform and the thing that I do, despite the many differences, right? Time difference, culture, language, and all of that. So I'm very grateful for actually for YouTube, for this platform that really reminds us that learning and sharing is borderless, right? So no matter where we are in the world, we can always share what we are passionate about. So again, I am Mommy Lala. Okay. Sometimes people call me Lala as well. I'm a crafter based here in the Philippines, and I've been crafting for over 4 decades, right? So even as a young, girl, I loved making handmade stuff. I'm also a mom of two, and that actually, really kicked off my crafting. Because after a while, when you're so busy in school and at work, and then when I became a mom, that when my crafty side kicked in again, I said, "Ooh, I will make scrapbook, build memories of my kids into albums here and there, right? Photos of them for them to be reminded of it when they grow up." And then I went into the planner hole and then into card making. So it's been one awesome rabbit hole after the other, right? So and then in terms of crafting, how it is right now I'm so blessed that one of the benefits of having a global community right now is that it is not as hard as, let's say, 3 decades ago to get a hand of products that get released over there on your side of the globe, Lynn, because before it would take us, I kid you not, even years. Early on, crafting was very, very limited for us. When I say limited, Lynn, we had to work with what you use for the school and the office. What is that? Art paper, scissors, punchers, glue, right? Glitter. That's it. We didn't have dies or stamps or trimmers, what have you. We had to work with just those materials for a very, very long time. For most Asian countries, they're typically very shy to share what they know, especially if you are, let's say, you didn't take a PhD for whatever or a master of or something, right? So if you don't have a diploma for something and you go out there and share, and then people might say, oh, why are you sharing? Are you an expert of some sort, or did you get it? Right. So we are kind of like that. So we care about, what others might think of. Maybe they would feel this is too easy or this is not good enough, right? So the mindset, right? So I hope that through the platform that I have started, that I where I invite other crafters from here and of course abroad. That's how I met Lynn. All right. She actually invited me the other way around, right? So she has given me an opportunity to actually share not just the thing that I do as a crafter, but also, the Filipino crafters as a whole. Okay. So just having the heart and passion, know your why. And if your why includes, that heart for sharing, right? And also maybe it's an opportunity for you also to showcase your product, your talent, our country, your country, wherever you are in the world. So this is an amazing, amazing platform.
So, in terms of knowing your why
Mhm.
did you start to share, or what made you decide to start to share your card making? Because that's not where your channel originally started, right? So,
Exactly.
how did you come to sharing your passion for card making and paper crafting?
So I started, remember 2009, nothing was there. All right. And then I said in 2018, October, so the last quarter of the year, I said, I hired, a videographer. I sent out invitations for all the people I wanted to, become as guests. I was gonna be a vlogger, guys. A mommy vlogger, right? So of course, crafting is always gonna be there, but that was just going to be part of it. So I'm gonna showcase, my travel vlogs with my kids because we love to travel. And then of course, I would also show us, but there will be segments where I showcase moms, right? So mom entrepreneurs. There was even going to be, for health. It's gonna be like a mini variety show. I would do anything and everything. Of course, when you're a beginner, you don't really know a lot. So you think, whatever sticks to the wall, throwing spaghetti on the wall, whatever sticks. Okay, I'm gonna go with that, right? So I had all those amazing plans. I actually was able to do like 3 videos, so feature one of the biggest craft stores here that got released, and then come January of 2019, things started to happen here in the Philippines. We had a major volcano eruption that spewed out, ashfall everywhere. So it's not safe to go out. And then eventually, what happened that year, right? So the world shut down. And so all those plans had to go down the drain. And then eventually I got also depressed, right? Because I have a lot of health issues as well. So, in as much as I want to go and do all the things, of course, you're not also allowed to do so. So I said, you know what? I'm going to pick up my channel. But what can I do from home? Right? So I can't do the interviews. I don't know how to do interviews with anybody, right? Like what Lynn is doing right now. Because I really didn't know. And so I thought it was only edited videos. I don't know how to edit. And I chanced upon this platform that I use right now. And Eureka. It's like, wow, I can go live. I can do this because I have thick skin. I'm not shy, right? So I can do this. So that's how it started. And what can you do from home? Crafting, right? And so for a very long time, that when we were just shut down, that was the only content I could do. And that's how it started. That, you know, crafting became initially just one of, and now became, you know what, I'll stick to crafting because that's what people, I feel, really resonate with me for. And now it's all about crafting.
How did you become aware of the different brands and manufacturers of craft supplies if they don't sell locally in your store? Just, where you could go into your local craft store and find
Yes.
Altenew and Pink and Main and, my favorite
Right.
things and stuff like that. So how did
All
you
right.
become aware of those brands? Did
Okay.
you watch YouTube
So,
videos? Are you on social
yes.
media a lot?
All right. So, as I told you before, that was about 3 to 4 decades ago when that was not possible to get. I think it was in the latter part of the scrapbooking golden days here, anyways, Lynn, about early 2000, latter part of the 90s, where scrapbooking became really, really big. And then small mom and pop shops started building craft stores from their like garage or from one room in their house. That's how, like, one of my partner stores, Nanette, started her shop. That's why her shop is called My Little Attic Studio because she actually started in her attic, right? So they started bringing in things, and they are also crafters, so they started bringing in basic gray. So those days, right? So those were the in things that you cannot find in the stores, because the store that you can, the stuff are art paper, glue, stuff like that. So they started bringing it in. So before actually, the world closed down, I have built myself quite a collection by that time,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, so then you did have access to the products
Yes, at that
that
time.
many of us are familiar with here in the US
Hmm.
and is so readily accessible to us. Were
Yes.
you also a consumer of other content creators, other designers on social
Yes.
media?
I remember Jennifer Maguire, because Jennifer Maguire was from the scrapbooking days. You have, Kathy Zielski. I like her simple way of doing things, a simple scrapbooks, right? Right. So I followed them. So, and I learned so much from them. I said, oh, that's a technique. Oh, I like that. So I'll try to, simulate that. For me, I had to do it like, how it is with artists. You follow the masters, so to speak, right? And then after that, you make it your own, right? So I'm not like somebody who can think of everything and anything under, out of the box instantly. I have to learn first how before I can deconstruct, right? So to speak, I have to first learn how to construct it. And once I know the process, then I can make it my own. So that's how it is. So YouTube has really been an amazing, it's like an encyclopedia of crafting for me.
So, Lala, it
Mm.
sounds like you do have access to a lot of the same products that we're familiar with here in the US.
Mhm,
You have local retailers who carry
mhm.
a lot of the popular brands. But so, does that mean that in the Philippines there is a good community of crafters? Is that a strong like commerce and business in the Philippine community? Because you've been here to the United States, I know
Mhm.
that you're friends with a lot of United States based crafters and creators. So, how would you say? how would you compare the two communities, the craft community in your local community in the Philippines, as compared to what you've observed and what you know about the U.S. community of crafters? Is it the same? Is it different?
So I've never experienced an international face-to-face event, but here in the Philippines, we have had many over the years, and the thing also, Lynn, when it comes to like how is it possible to actually turn your passion into business, right? So that at least you get, what you like to buy for your hobby or your passion is no longer coming out of, let's say, the family budget or your, your personal money, right? So it pays for itself, so to speak. And here in the Philippines, oh my goodness. So sometimes I would say, guys, you're parking at the wrong tree. Why sell over there? Sell to the Philippines. In the Philippines, there are so many different craft groups, Lynn, not just, paper crafting. You have the planner group community. Oh my gosh, there's so many of them, right? So you have fountain pens group, you have drawing, you have coloring, you have whatever you guys have over there, it's the same here. And they share and sell each other, products and works and stuff like that. And a lot of them, okay, so for those who don't really have a lot of money, excess money, so to speak, um, to buy more of the supplies that they need. So they turn it into a side hustle, right? So they create notebooks, they create embellishments for planners, they create stickers, so for card making, right? So they do the pre-cut, cards already with an envelope, right? So half done stuff. They do commission work for weddings, invitations, events, decorating, all the things, whatever they can think.
Okay, so it sounds like there are a lot of crafters then
Mhm.
in the Philippines. Like there are lots of
Yes.
card makers, there's lots of
Okay, when it comes to the card makers mostly who do this for business are those that do it for events like weddings, birthdays, stuff like that. So the kind that, you do it for, doing it for friends or for yourself. Okay, it's a growing thing. Okay, but it's not yet there. I know that there's so much room to grow. And if you are in business, that's a good thing, right? Because it's not yet such a saturated market, right? So
Okay,
it
so
means you just need. Mhm.
does that mean there aren't a lot of hobbyists who just craft, make cards to use and send
I feel
personally?
that there are more who do this as a business more
Really?
than as a hobby, right? So
Really? Because that's very
I'm
different.
surrounded by many who are like me, but we are absolutely maybe just 1 to 2% of what whoever is out there. Still
Yeah.
a lot of
So
growth.
I'm very curious about this though. So if they sell like commissioned cards for like a
Mhm,
wedding or an event, are they
mhm.
hand making those cards?
Normally, they do hybrid.
What does that
Okay, when I
mean?
say hybrid, let's say they want it's a birthday party. They want the photo of the celebrator.
Uh huh.
So they will put that in. Okay, and
Okay.
then they will do a bit of die cutting. They would put a little bit of embellishments here and there.
Oh,
They would personalize it further. So there are parts that are printed, and there are parts that are handmade. So make it a little bit different from everybody else. Right?
interesting. Yeah, because I can't
Yes.
imagine doing if it's a wedding, it might be like a hundred,
500.
two
Oh,
hundred. Yeah, 500.
I
That's a
have a
huge
I
wedding.
have a very interesting story for you, Lynn. I've got one of my very first, crafty commission for one of the biggest five-star hotels here in the Philippines. It's their Easter, Easter egg hunt. I
Hmm.
was commissioned 500 Easter egg hunt bags where they will put their, the eggs that
Yeah.
they. So the me was like, I'm a crafter. I can do everything, right? Happy Easter. Happyester. Hand cut. There were no
Oh
die
my,
cutting machines there before. So
oh my gosh.
manually hand cut all of those letters.
Oh
It's
my gosh.
almost time for the event. I'm still pasting. So I learned the hard way. Really, if it's gonna be something like that, like if it's just one thing, fine. But if it's gonna be like several hundreds, you really need to, either you have a lot of stuff, or people to help you with that, or you hybrid it. Okay,
Yeah,
so some parts
interesting.
have to be printed, and some had parts will have to be handmade. So it's still
Yeah.
handmade, so to speak. Right,
Okay, so
funny.
then, so there's like, so do a lot of people in the local Filipino culture is
Mhm.
like, do people send cards to each other a lot? I feel like even in the United States, um, the cards are very, we have Hallmark, you know, you go into the dollar store, you can easily
Mhm.
find cards. So I feel like there's lots of store-bought cards available here, and when people, most people in the US anyways, tend to just
Mhm.
go into a store and maybe they'll go into a cute little boutique store and there'll be some handmade cards, but a lot of
Yes.
times it's like a Hallmark card. So is Hallmark in the Philippines
Yes, they
or
are.
are there
Yes,
local
they are.
printers?
Yes. So we do have Hallmark. So they are actually here for, their gift wrappers, just like there, and of course their cards. But we do have also local um, card makers and gift wrapper makers, right? So the thing is, for us, cards are normally sent together with a gift. Okay, so cards are most of the time never sent alone, except if it's for like sympathy cards, right? Yeah, so cards are always like a gift tag, gift card thing. Never sent or a money card. You know how it is? But just to say hi, hello, I hope you're well. Okay, happy birthday. Like just the card. No. Okay, so it's not something that, is common.
So what if it's like something like Easter, which isn't really a gift giving
Hmm.
occasion? Would you
Nobody
send a
gives happy Easter cards here, Lynn.
then nobody gives cards? Oh,
Because we don't really
that's
celebrate Easter for that. We celebrate it for the, you know, uh, what do you call this? The egg hunt, right? But never really give out the same with Halloween. We don't have like, oh, happy Halloween. We give you a card.
right.
No, we do Halloween because you have to go around the neighborhood, get your candies and stuff, right? So, but never
Oh,
like a card. Okay. So cards are meant to go with a gift,
okay.
birthdays, anniversaries, right? So,
Wedding.
uh,
Yeah.
a home, like a blessing, stuff like that, right? But because most of the cards, Lynn, are very, very like as you said, like, the traditional flat printed ones with a nice
Right.
sentiment,
Right.
right? Not the kind of card that we do. I
Sure.
kid you not, 100%. When people see the cards that we do, it's like, oh my gosh, that in itself is the gift. Again, as I said, in terms of possible growth for card making here in the Philippines, it's still very much, an open sea, okay, a blue sea out there, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
Because most people here are still into planners.
Okay, gotcha.
Mhm.
So, how have you seen that there are, or experienced that there are any differences in, say, like a card that you might find locally in your store versus
Mm.
how you craft and the content that you put out there? Because I assume most of your viewers on YouTube are US, you know, watching from
Yes,
the
when I
US.
started, Lynn, it was really Filipino, 70-80%. Okay. Also, that has to do with the language. So my overarching dream, like my BHAG, okay, my big hairy audacious goal, okay, my BHAG, okay, is to actually be able to enter the international community. And so I started doing content in my vernacular language. So it's Tagalog or Taglish, Tagalog English, or we call it Taglish. So people from all over the world started coming over onto my live streams. And so when that happens, I have to speak in English. Right. And one of my dear friends that I've met also from content creation, who is a business language coach, meaning she helps businesses grow their business through language adaptation of what is the best language to use. So she told me, Lala, you cannot do this. You cannot do English and Filipino, one, you will lose some of them. Okay, which is true because I've been Lala. You what you're doing is so nice, but I can't understand a word. I said pivot. Okay, so I started doing everything in English. In the beginning, I was getting a lot of why are Filipinos? You're a Filipino. Why are you speaking in English? Right. So I got a lot of maybe not really nasty, but they wanted me to do more, talk in Filipino more simply because I'm a Filipina. So, I had to explain, guys, most of us actually understand English. Some of us cannot really speak fluent English, but everybody understands. And we do have guests coming in and they cannot understand us, right? So I hope that even in the chat, you can, post your comments in Tagalog and then eventually maybe translate a little bit in English so they can understand. So we could be more inclusive. And so that happened for a little bit, but then eventually they got so used to it, right? And that's how it started. So I nowadays when I go live, I would say hi hello in the vernacular, especially when I see somebody who might not be very versed in, or probably not confident in speaking English. I would refer to them, for a while, and then everything will be on in English again, because the goal, okay, is to actually be more inclusive, right? So there is really a majority of the globe, okay, of everybody in the world who knows how to speak English. The Philippines is teeming with talent that the people just don't know about, them because they're not ready yet to share their content. But you'd be surprised. I was like, oh, you have that. You have this. Yes, we have this in the Philippines too. Because people think that we don't have all of these things. We now have access. Yes, absolutely. In the past we didn't, but now we have. So imagine what awesome things can be done and collaborations can be done, right? So
Right.
Lynn, would you want to see what like a store bought card looks like here in
Yeah,
the Philippines?
absolutely.
All right.
Yes, of course.
Okay, I'll show you, Lynn. This is it. All right. So this is some of the store bought cards here in the Philippines. Okay. So I chose some of the cards, or most of the cards I'm going to show you, Lynn, are actually cards that showcase the Philippine culture. Right. We do
But that
have
one's in
cards.
English.
Oh yes, because this one, okay, although it's the sentiment is in English, but the images, the situation is that of a Philippine. Because the point of which of these stores, these are meant like if you are in the Philippines, you want to share. If it's all Filipino, maybe the one you're gonna send it to will not understand if they're not Filipino, right? But you are
Interesting.
sending it to a Filipino, I will actually make a card for that one later on. So look, this one,
Okay.
Lynn, okay, so it's just
It's
printed, right?
cute.
Yes, it's cute, right? But it's printed and it's craft. So most of the time, if it's Filipino made, handmade here in the Philippines, it's most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, craft paper, okay, or handmade paper, recycled paper,
Oh,
right? So,
yeah.
but the theme, if you can see, these are actually newlyweds. So this is our national, what do you call this, costume for men. That's barong Tagalog, right? So this one is not very traditional, the girl, but this one is. So that's a barot saya, Okay, so you get the
Okay.
sentiments they combine so that it can also be used by others, okay, who may want to send this to somebody, okay, from where they are in the world, okay, but if they are here in the Philippines, so they can showcase a little bit of our culture. So again, the cards are flat, printed,
Sure.
and
I
mostly
mean,
on
Hallmark cards in the US are flat too. That's a store-bought card, so it looks
exactly.
like pretty
Okay,
much,
so it's very same, flat. Okay,
yeah.
store bought cards are mostly flat. Okay, to again.
Do store
Mm-mm,
do store-bought cards ever have, because at least sometimes in the US, our
mm-hmm.
store-bought cards will have maybe like a little glitter. It'll be still flat, but it'll maybe have a bit of glitter or a bit of like foil. Um, are
Yes,
any
there
of
are.
those?
Yes, there are those, but very rarely you can
Hmm.
buy those. Mostly are just printed. You can have the foiling a little bit, but that is a little bit more expensive. So the thing is, if you're gonna pay that much for that kind of card, you might as well get somebody to create, a personalized card for you. Will cost
Mm.
you more or less the same,
Oh, okay.
right? So that's why mostly store bought cards are just, very plain like
Printed.
this. This is a postcard. Okay, again, showcasing some, again, our Filipino clothes. These are stickers, okay, that
Oh, cool.
showcase some of the Philippines. So, as you can see, it's on craft, it's a sticker. Okay, so
I
that's what
love
we are
that
known for.
everything is on
Right?
craft paper. That's
Yeah, so you
nice.
would know that it's, when we say, oh, I want something Filipiniana, meaning, have a Filipino theme. So most of the time it would come in craft or it's on
Oh,
wood, right? So and then these
wow.
are some DIYs for the kids, all right? So our crafters, you can create
So
like a
fun.
frame, right? And then we have like what you said, right? So we have several, okay, Filipino artists. Like this is Isabella Madero. She creates all of this. These are all her original creations. Okay, so some inspirational postcards, which you can also find somewhere, there in the US, right? Or in other
Yeah.
parts of the globe, right? So these are some things that is also available here and, with their own takes, right?
Oh,
So,
wow.
and there are others who create planners, planner stickers, right? I think I showed
Yeah.
you one. What is that? Oh, okay. This one is also a gift wrapper,
Oh,
right?
so
So,
pretty.
right. So we also have a gift wrapper where it showcased the different, parts of the Philippines, and you can
Yeah.
even make this a map. Okay, okay, I want to go here. Next, I want to go here. Right.
Wow, that's
So
so unique.
yes,
Everything's,
yes.
yeah.
So
Is that a
that's
repeat pattern or no? Is everything,
again. Sorry.
is there a repeat in that pattern or is everything
Oh, there
unique?
is, there is. So like this guy, Moriones, this guy, okay,
Uh-huh.
repeats on to this
Oh, he does
one.
repeat. Oh,
Yes,
okay.
but basically, they're like that's the jeepney. We're known for
You must
that.
love that because you
Yes,
can fussy cut everything out of that.
oh yes, Lynn knows me so well. Absolutely. All right. So there is one thing. So as I said, like the planners, right? So there's this artist. So not everything is like Filipino themed, right? So they also a lot of artists here also create like planner stickers or even you can use for cards like this one. This is Paper Dolls Co. They are okay, hold on. Okay, stop moving. Yeah. All right, there we go. Paper Dolls Co. So this is made by a Filipino artist. Okay, and she creates like a complete collection for your planner for the month of December and whatever other holidays like you'll have Halloween and stuff. So she ships international. So she does have not just Filipino events or festivities, but she like that one, right? So there's a snowman, right? So there's a reindeer. So there are Filipino artists who actually also do products that can be, relatable to other crafters in the international community.
Yeah.
So it's not just, Filipino theme.
Hey, so Lala, if you had to say make a card that where you don't really have to think about, you know, all of those things when you're making, say, a video that you know is to promote like a United States product and you
Mm,
know many US viewers are going to be watching it. More if you were to make something that's more local, using locally sourced materials, kind of like the things that you showed us a little sneak peek of
mm.
earlier. What might that look like? You know, how would you craft with your local supplies and in an aesthetic that might be a little bit more traditional for your community?
Okay. All right. So, first and foremost, if you are from the Philippines or maybe probably Southeast Asia, so these materials that I'm going to be showing you, probably you have some in your local, craft store or, even bookstore. This one is
Ooh.
from a company or store called Pape Melroti. They're everywhere in the Philippines. If you're in the Philippines and you want to do cards, for, other Filipino crafters or for somebody who probably would be in another country, then this would be a great opportunity for you to use what we have here. You don't need to worry about not being available here because it's actually available in any Papemelwati store.
Oh,
Most of the
wow.
big stores, malls in the Philippines, they have a store, right? So if you can see, this is a sticker and I like it because it showcases these ladies are some of the different traditional clothes of women. So
Yeah.
there you go. So that also shows in the clothes that we wear, okay, the food that we eat, right? So this is an example, and it comes from aesthetic. When you say something is Filipiniana, Lin, Filipiniana, it means made in the Philippines. So most of the time, it would have the feel and look of handmade and organic, right? Something that's organic
Yeah.
from trees, from materials that are sourced within the region or within the country. So most of this are probably plant based, tree based. So like this one. So I wanted to showcase that. So I dry embossed this very plain craft paper to look like it's part of a basket, that it's actually a basket material, right?
I see like a lot of in the samples that you've shown with the stickers and things like that. It's a lot of
Mhm.
printed materials. Are there any local stamp companies, maybe local companies that make, you know, the clear stamps or the rubber stamps that we see produced here by a lot of US companies? Are there any local like, can you get a stamp image, for example, that would
Mhm.
actually showcase some of the traditional dress, you know, like those girls that you showed? Is there anything like that in the Philippines?
Yes. As I was saying, Mami Lay Designs. She is Lay Ralston. She is based in the US, but she's a Filipino artist and crafter. She actually designs for Pink and Main.
Okay,
Okay.
cool.
So some of Pink and Main stamps are actually designed by her. So this is from Ink Scribbler. Okay, ink scribbler comes out with clear stamps like this. Okay, so if you can see the stamps
Oh,
show the
cool.
Philippines. Okay, so it's actually, I can't wait to get my hands on your newest die because these are going to be
That's
perfect for
so
that, right?
cute.
So you have Intramuros, Mayon. So the stamps actually showcase some of the most amazing places that you can visit in the Philippines. So this is nice, right? So it showcases some of so these are just
And that's
some.
so that's a local company then.
Yes, it's called Ink Scribbler. They
Oh.
actually do calligraphy. So did you see the way
Oh,
so they
yeah.
actually do a lot of calligraphy materials. So they sell practice sheets and stuff like that, and they have like kits that you can buy. And recently they added clear stamps that has like Pilipinas, right?
Oh, that's
So
so cool.
although there is, of course, the international, designs that can be
Sure.
used anywhere, but there's the Filipina stamp over there, right? So that I liked as well. Okay, will you be my pen pal? Right? Something I'd brighten up your day, approve.
Oh,
So again, this is
cute.
made by a Filipino, we do have. Okay, so these are stamps made by them. Okay,
Yeah,
so
that's
yeah,
awesome.
right. So again, how I wish there are more, right? So because I can like imagine like before we have what we call bayanihan. Do you know that the homes here in the Philippines before, Lynn, let's say I want to transfer. Okay, you'll just hire maybe 20 people, and then they'll put stilts underneath your house, because houses before were on stilts. They're not flat
Yeah.
on the floor. So, and then they will put like two or four or five stilts, and then people on both sides will
Just
carry
carry it.
it. Yes, and then bring it to the other where you want to transfer, right? So it's bayanihan. That
Whoa.
would have been a nice part of, a card or something, right? So it's like maybe talk about togetherness or helping
Right.
each other out. So that would be a great,
Yeah.
great stamp.
So that's okay. So then, do you ever wish that there were more like culturally relevant
Oh,
stamps and
yes.
things? Because there's lots obviously in the US there's lots of US humor
Yes.
in
Yes.
in our kind of pop culture and all of that.
Yes. So
some
true.
some of the US pop culture is very global, with the movies being very global and
Yes.
stuff like that. But that's kind of fun to like if you had a stamped image like that and if you had that saying, how fun would that
Yes.
be as a stamp?
And maybe, like local puns as well that I'm sure
Right.
if you just have a drawing, maybe they cannot understand the language, but if they see the drawing or the image, they get it,
Yeah, it
right?
can
So
translate. Yeah.
yeah, so that would be awesome. So again, there's a lot of room to grow if you are a crafter or if you are a manufacturer to come up with more products that would be more inclusive.
There are things that have permeated the US market, like Lunar New Year, for example.
Yes,
I'm seeing more and more designs
it's
from a
nice.
variety of different brands that have embraced Lunar New Year festivities, lantern, autumn festival kind of
Mhm.
like stamps and images and Day of the Dead, which is very close to Halloween, but more
Yes,
the Day of the Dead real like, aesthetic, which is different
yes.
than the US Halloween traditions.
Yeah, for us that comes
And
in November 1st. Yeah.
yeah, so there are some, very here and there, some cultures and images and celebrations from other cultures, but not I wouldn't say a lot though. You don't
Mhm.
really see too much
Exactly.
besides the ones that I've mentioned. Um so that might be something that's interesting if more because that might even open up the market a little bit more to
Mm. And that
crafters
can
and
also help out maybe Lynn international crafters to be more
mhm.
interested, because it's like sometimes it's not as if they don't like it, it's just not relatable to them,
Right, it's not
right?
relevant, so then they
Mhm, it's
don't.
not
So then,
relevant to
but
them.
do you think there's opportunity for more local companies like that ink scribbler and local artists to produce in country things that are more relevant and relatable to the local market there?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because, maybe the only reason why people think that, we kept buying things from, outside is because there's none that's available locally,
Right.
right? But if you have it here and then, you learn how to market it and share the joy of having, another one we have actually that has penetrated. I don't know if you've heard of Christine Herrin. Okay, so Christine Herrin has her own stamp set and stuff. She's based in the US, but she's Filipina. She does sell her products here as well locally. She's more into the planner, but she does have stamps and dies and other, other things. Of course, the main market is still the US, right? But then there's this big opportunity across the oceans and the miles, right? That are just thirsting for products to be,
Right.
to be created, right?
Well, I mean, if there are companies, I mean, that could be a way to almost create a market in
Mm.
an area where maybe the demand is at the moment outpacing the supply, because that's kind of
Yes.
the challenge in the US market at the moment, and why a lot of craft companies are struggling is that with COVID,
Yeah.
there was a lot of there were a lot of people who took up the hobby, because to
Mhm.
your earlier point at the very beginning and how you got into content creating as with crafting as your main content now, is because it was able to, that was what you could do basically
Yeah.
during lockdown. And
Yes.
so that created a surge in demand, which has, now that the world, now that we can go out, things have returned more or less to
Mhm.
normal. So people are now spending their money in the ways that they were spending their money before, and that does not necessarily include crafting.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so during that period, companies that were already in business kind of ramped up a little bit to meet the demand, and it was an opportunity for other small businesses to start and open, and when other businesses were maybe struggling, crafting kind of did okay. But
Mhm.
now things have changed, the climate has changed a little bit, the economy has changed a little bit, and so now we're the demand has diminished
Waned
some,
a bit. Yeah.
and now we're seeing many companies close because they just can't sustain what they were producing before, and they didn't
Mhm.
adapt
Of
to
course,
that
they have
change.
overheads, right, and stuff.
Right.
Yes.
Because you always have to kind of adapt to the change. You can't keep doing the same thing. You have to
Yes.
adjust. But it
So
seems
that's
like there
why I
might.
feel, Lynn, that the concept of going global gives you a bigger market, right?
Right.
So the opportunities maybe in your area may have gone saturated because of the presence of other similar businesses, but then there's that other market, right? That you can
Exactly.
probably look into.
Yeah, because, and I
Mm.
feel like especially in a market like the Philippines, because
Mm.
you said many people understand English, even if
Mm.
they may not speak it very fluently, but I mean, it's in your
Understand.
store-bought cards even, so
Yes.
it feels like it's
Yes.
very present in,
True.
your day-to-day culture. It may not be that hard for a US based company to maybe break into your market, the Filipino market, very specifically because
Yes.
of that. Because at least the language isn't a barrier. You don't necessarily have to have everything translated into the local language in
Yeah.
order for it to still maybe be appreciated. So then it comes to maybe designing culturally relevant images, or sayings or sentiments, or maybe celebrating some of the local customs and traditions or holidays. So it does kind of feel
Agree.
like there's an opportunity there. And then maybe, we can celebrate our international designers more and give them more opportunities.
Yay! That
And
would be awesome.
and to your point, your audience is only 60% US. So then
Mhm.
there's 40% market opportunity to reach there's opportunity to reach that other 40%.
Yeah.
Now,
Yes. And
Philippine
that's
viewers
only
might
for
be.
the platform, Lynn, right? So we do have still face-to-face events, right? So
Right,
there's
exactly. So
more.
then we're
Mhm.
missing out on what an international designer can do for us if we are like a US based company, because we could be using those international designers as ambassadors to their local market. And
Agree.
but they need to have something to take to their local community that is relatable, like you said.
So people here, especially in the Philippines, actually do appreciate, products as well from, foreign lands from other countries. So, and especially, Lynn, when I started with the community, I didn't know that the only products I knew of were really the ones that were marketed here by the local stores are the ones that were, like very very big companies, right? So I didn't know about the other companies that existed, that they actually have their own stamps, their own paper, and they're beautiful. And I was able to visit them, right? So it's like, oh my, but they weren't here. They're not available here. But if they have been given, an opportunity to actually see and see that there is, so actually one of the, I'm trying to talk to my partner stores here locally to bring in some of the products that, we are actually somehow, as part of design teams affiliated with Lynn, right? So there are more
Sure.
products and manufacturers than what we know of actually. So
Sure.
there.
I mean, you can only know about the things that are within your sphere of
Yes, exactly. So it's like,
experience. If there's a US company here that
mhm,
already has international buyers, it makes
yeah,
sense, for example, if there's a company here that has a lot of buyers who are in the Philippines and already ordering their products in the Philippines, it
mhm,
makes sense if they can find a designer who is local to that area, invite them to their design
yes,
team, maybe every once in a while incorporate something from the local culture, and
yes, that would be
then
awesome.
you can leverage, get more use out of your international designers, because then they can really market to the local market. And if you know you
Mhm.
already have buyers in that local market who already like your American based things, because I do understand that there is quite a lot of appeal for Western culture.
Yes,
And so it's not to say that, yeah, you need to only, you know, cater
yeah,
to like 100%. Of course, no. The idea
yeah,
is broadening your audience, making
yes,
your things more inclusive, and getting more out of your international designers so that your international designers are not always crafting to the US aesthetic or to the US audience, which there are
mhm,
plenty of US designers, you
yes,
know, on design teams to do already. But why not use, your international designers in a way where they can really bring your product to the local market in their locale.
like for example Halloween for us, right? So we don't really make Halloween cards, but we do have a lot of Halloween events like parties and stuff. So maybe if they have something like a side release, not just for cards but to make decorations, so your international, design team members can do that part, right?
Right,
So
exactly. So I
yeah,
kind of feel like the the market can open a little bit more broadly
mhm,
if, US or any company really can see the benefit of having international designers, whichever way it goes, right?
mhm,
US to
true.
non-US or
Yeah.
vice versa. Because it has to, of course, make sense to the bottom line. But, as a part of that, let's use our international designers at their strengths. And I like the cards that you're making are so beautiful.
Oh, thank
And
you.
yeah, and I can tell because of the samples that you showed earlier, they're very, on trend for your local market.
Right.
And so wouldn't
So
it be great if you could take a US product and instead
mhm,
of crafting to the US aesthetic,
Yes.
Is it possible, and it's only going to be made easier, maybe possible now, but easier if the US market made things that were a little bit more, approachable to, the different cultures. And, it doesn't have to be an entire stamp set, but what if there was like an aspect here or there
Yeah.
that
So
maybe
that
they could
that's
ask
true.
if they have an international designer, what can I do to make this stamp set sell to
I
your local market? Like, what
yes.
one thing or two things can I add to this pattern paper or to this stamp set?
Crafts and arts and stuff like this are not really priority in terms of the budget, but you'll be surprised that there's a part of the it's like your 2080, the Pareto principle in business, right?
Yeah.
So the 20% actually would be the majority of what makes your sale. And that is kind of the same of the crafters here in the Philippines. In terms of those are a hobbyist, again, a majority are actually using it for part of their business. But there are those that really, if they like it, oh my, they will get it. They will
Do
get it all.
you think if you were to kind of do a different type of hybrid, meaning a hybrid of local art and materials plus your US, materials, could that possibly convince your partner stores to maybe wholesale from, a US uh, based company?
Absolutely, absolutely. Agree, agree, agree. That's why one of the reasons, or for the reason that I have, I do feature different also local manufacturers every now and then. But again, most of the products that I do also feature are coming from, you know, uh, outside of the Philippines, but none really that somehow resonates with the culture a little bit, right? Just a little bit. Okay, so that would probably be an awesome addition. And at the same time, as I said, knowing that there are more brands that I can actually, the Filipinos know of simply because they're not here, opening up that there are other, manufacturer. And if they're here, and the price point is competitive, right? I am absolutely sure that they would love it as much as I do,
Cute.
right? So
Yeah, because I mean, I can see like craft is, craft card and things like very natural
yes,
materials like the twine and stuff.
yes,
It's a beautiful aesthetic, and I feel like that can cross, both
yes. This
cultures
can
very
also be like
easily.
maybe for your when do birds come out? Summer, spring, I don't know,
Hmm.
maybe, right? So again, you know how it is, can we can create like one product five ways.
Do you feel though that as an international designer, of course you're always designing with your own personal aesthetic, but do you
Yes.
feel like you need to design more to the US culture though? Because I I know the design teams you're on,
Ah,
and
yes, thank you.
but I know that you
Yes,
don't like these cards are gorgeous, but they're a very different aesthetic to
yes,
what you do for your design team assignments.
yes. So
So
maybe
is
what
that
I can, yes. So what I can do, or I mean, suggestion as well to others who are similar to me. Maybe most of the time we make several cards, not just one or two, right? You can create one out of, let's say, four cards that somehow would showcase some of, the aesthetics or materials that are locally available. And sometimes,
yeah,
who knows, maybe others who are in other parts of the country, not are the globe, not just the US, actually would want some products that look something like, this. But they've
yeah,
never thought of incorporating that in the actual kits that they make, right?
right.
Right? So
Well,
you
and I
just need
know
to
that
show them.
on some of your cards you're featuring, embossing folders that are from US
Mhm.
popular
Yes,
brands
this
in
one.
the US.
Yes.
And so it is
Yes.
possible to bring in some of exactly, yeah. So it's possible to bring in US brands and
Yes.
merge it, have a
Yes. Doesn't
hybrid.
have to be only Filipino. Remember, Filipinos, we love foreign stuff.
Or maybe if you are an international designer, don't be afraid to embrace the local culture, aesthetic,
Mhm.
and don't always feel like you have to.
Yeah, it's too niche.
Um,
Maybe you're going to think, oh, it's too niche. People cannot relate to that. Right. So,
yeah, but
yeah.
if you are from where you are, so you have a local audience
Mm-hmm.
somewhat at least.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole point of being a design team member is to help that company broaden its audience. And
Mm-hmm.
so, to your point, if there are, even if it's a small number of people in the Philippines who can afford maybe the high shipping and all of that,
Mm-hmm.
there is still an audience potentially, but they need to see it in a way that really
Yes,
resonates with them.
exactly.
And that may not be the same as what would resonate to somebody who is like me here in the United States.
Yes.
So I would
So,
say, for all of the international designers out there, um maybe every once in a while throw in a video that feels very culturally relevant to your culture with
mhm,
the US products, and just see what that can
that's so
what that might
true.
look like. Because I know that you said sometimes you have to do some research to understand, fall as a,
Yes. I was
or
saying
like,
something recently like, Lynn, is is this fall or Christmas? Because I'm not sure, right? So for me,
yeah,
it's kind of Christmas for me, but I'm not sure if will people think this is a Christmas or a fall
right.
card, right? Because I'm
But
not
that's the
sure. Yes.
yeah, and that's the thing. I kind of feel like for international, for any designer, I feel like don't worry about that. Make what resonates with you, with your viewers, with your culture.
Mhm.
And we are, like you said, a very global community, and that our viewers are very global as well. So I would
Yes.
say, embrace your culture, bring your culture into your crafting,
Mhm.
and I think that might actually help and benefit the US market. If nothing else, for US designers, it helps to also open their eyes to new looks and new aesthetics, which we all
Yes.
crave
True.
as well. But then it may also result in your local community becoming, interested and potentially even becoming customers of many of our favorite US brands. Because now
Yes.
they
I
see it
agree.
in a different light. Because I can only speak for, I was born and raised in the US, but when I
Mhm.
think about my culture, I think about what my mom would like, right? And while
Yes.
she's lived here for as long as I, have been alive, I think her aesthetics are still very rooted in, our culture where she was born.
Yes.
And so I think a lot of the things that we would find really cool, really pretty, like all the mixed media and the junk journaling, I don't think she would
Mhm.
find that has as much appeal to her as an
Yes.
aesthetic, right? And so if she were to ever buy something, she would need to first appreciate it in her sense of
Yes.
beauty. And so, if our international designers were encouraged to embrace their local sense of beauty and not feel like they always have to be crafting to the US sense of, you know, artistic beauty,
Mhm.
I feel like that would ultimately be more eye opening for the US consumers, but it might also be very, it might help the bottom line of our US companies as well. I love
Yes.
everything that you've made so far.
Well, thank
Um,
you. I'm enjoying it. See, crafting while talking with such an amazing topic that resonates with me. And, I'm so happy that you opened this up, Lynn, because again, I would want, it's a dream of mine to, be able to really, open the local crafting community to the international community, that there is a team, it's like what we call teaming with talent, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
this part of the globe. And that it's just maybe hopefully an opportunity be given to them, yes, to not just showcase the local products that we have. Of course, that's beautiful. That's going to be an amazing thing, but also to showcase, the Filipino talent, right? So if only just given an opportunity, I think that's it. No matter where you are in the world, it's the opportunity, right? So if one is
Yeah.
just given an opportunity, then that is gonna be the start. So in anything, I think it's really the start that's most difficult. Okay,
Yeah, I
let's
mean,
talk
it's
more.
pretty incredible. I mean, you do have access to a lot of local supplies that are very
Mhm.
similar to, what we would find here. It's just that they are very culturally, fit more with the local aesthetic,
Yes. And
and I
also
love the
remember,
craft and the
yes,
organic nature of
this
everything.
this is cheaper also to make, right? So craft a handmade paper is cheaper than, specialty papers. So that's also one of the reasons.
That's
Yes.
surprising because I think craft paper here, special
It's more
handmade
expensive,
papers
right?
here, are more expensive.
Here, no, this is the cheaper, alternative rather than the
Wow.
specialty paper, which you guys, on the other hand, get that pretty cheaper, right? So again, there are, maybe if you are the business owner, manufacturer, maybe there are certain things that maybe is more, expensive. Okay, but then there would be other parts that maybe, cheaper. If done here or something like that. There you go. Ang saya. Yay, I'm done.
Oh, so adorable. So even for a US viewer to look at the cards that you've made tonight, it feels, you know, very special because you're using products that in our locale actually cost a little bit more.
Exactly. But
Like,
here is like, oh my, that's your go-to
yeah.
material because it's,
So this is the
affordable.
sort of thing that I love, for international designers. Because I've never seen you make anything that looks like this in your design team projects, but it's gorgeous. And to see the examples that you showed of, store-bought cards in the Philippines, this
Yeah,
feels very still very bespoke, like very handmade and very artistic, but also very relevant still and
exactly. But gives it
familiar.
that pump, right? Because it's not flat. There's
Is that
textures, there's
flat?
level,
Right.
right? So,
But it still feels very, accessible to somebody who maybe, in a local market would choose this, because it doesn't look foreign necessarily, right? But it looks nice and it looks like
mm,
stepped up and very special. And so I could totally see,
yeah, the
this working well.
possibilities,
Oh,
right? So
yeah.
imagine using just the stickers, local stick, and the stickers are actually not even, they're very thin. So yeah, that's why I have to put them on another cardstock and then, fussy cut around it, right? So because I want to, do a little bit of, some are clustered, some are that's
Right.
been lifted a little bit. So if only the Filipino crafting community, because most of them, when they create like cards and stuff, they will print it. There are many ways to create aesthetically pleasing cards and projects, paper projects, with all the materials that if only they knew existed and are available,
Right,
right? And it's not
exactly.
gonna, cost you an arm and a leg to have. But like something like this, you can always use for any other project, right? Not just for a birthday or hi hello. These are all occasion stuff. So it could, if you do the math, it's gonna pay for itself in the long run. If you keep on buying store bought cards, right? As
Yeah.
against, making your own. And another thing that could be, very much relevant to everyone wherever you are in the world. paper crafting, crafting using your hands, right? Um, all right. So for the first card, all right. So this is based on a local sticker. Okay, so from this one, we're showcased different Filipino things like culture and dress and stuff. And the background is actually a dry embossed one using, okay, this one from Sizzix. Okay, it's a Team Holtz. It's a 3D embossing folder, and I love it so much because it really resembles that of a basket. And I kept to the theme of craft because that's very Filipiniana for us, right? So, because it has that feel of being organic. All right. So for the second one, okay, this is basically all locally sourced except for my card base, which is actually a specialty paper from Italy. Right? But everything, okay, I used here, okay, is from that from Pape Belrotti. And look at that, it's a kita kits. Okay, it means see ya. Okay,
That's so cute.
yes, get a kit. So the driver has all these passengers, so we're gonna go there. See you soon. So something like that. So this is a very simple card, and yet, okay, because of that layering and of course that matting, gave it a little
Hmm.
bit more right? And then of course this one again, I used some stickers that are bought locally, okay, from the same company, Pape Melrati, and these are actually like this twines. Okay, these are
Hmm.
locally sourced. Okay, abaka. Okay, you can buy this in different sizes. There are thick ones, thin ones. Okay, and most Philippine handmade products may have that as part of their embellishments, maybe as part of the
Mm.
handle, part of the decoration. So since I am featuring birds, it's like, remember, like emulating like a nest, so to speak.
Bird's nest. It's so
Right?
cute. Yeah.
Yes, and this background actually of that of a banana leaf, right? So there are, everywhere you go in the countryside in the Philippines, you would always see a banana tree. Okay,
Oh,
so this is what
nice.
a banana leaf would look like. So I said, okay, perfect. And this is from Altenew. Okay, this is from
Nice.
Altenew, right? So there are a plethora of products available, right? So from North America that, Filipino crafters like me can actually use and still come up with something that is so relatable to us as a culture.
Yeah.
Right. And then, of course, the next one, I still use the same embossing folder, but this time around, okay, I use this, gosh, abaka. Okay. And then just layered the stickers of the different birds. Okay. And then that's it. Okay.
So
So,
I love that card because it's a neat technique of the framing
uh-huh.
using, your local material, but we could use something like twine or something,
Mm,
but that's something unique and different that I know I've never done on a card is to frame it with
mm,
like
this,
such a dimensional material
yeah,
like what you've used. I kind of think like here locally maybe it might be something like raffia here
yes.
or like a thicker twine. So I love that as a technique also, which I kind of feel like I know you made it using, local materials, maybe to the
Yes.
local aesthetic, but that's something I feel would benefit the US viewer and card maker as well as a technique that,
Awesome,
we can
right?
bring into
So,
our card making.
exactly. So sometimes, as a designer as well, I also have those, you know, um, like things that maybe they will not like this, right? So it's okay, sometimes you just need to try and test out. If they didn't like it, okay, you learn from it. All right, at least you're able to try out new things, right? Mix up different materials and stuff. So this is another one. This time around it's a tag. So it's just a die cut. Okay, I die cut this. It's actually a white watercolor paper. I die cut it, and then I just inked it with this several colors of on the brown family of distress. And then Pahiyas Festival. Okay, this is one of the festivals that we have in the southern part of the Philippines in Quezon. So all the things that you see here, like those banners that you see, are actually food.
Oh, no
They're like
way.
wafer. You can
Oh,
eat them.
Really?
Yes, and it's called Pahiyas Festival. And
Oh,
people
fun.
like really, tourists love going to this place during that because it's really nice. So they have like parades and stuff, and all the houses that you would see, okay, will have something like that decorated their houses with this, and then this can
Wow.
be eaten. That's why I said ang saya. Ang saya means happy, very happy, right? So very happy. That's why I said
Oh, that's
okay,
so
perfect,
awesome.
right? So this tag, okay, normally for us Filipinos, this will not be given as is. This will always come with a gift,
Hmm.
right? So tags for us always come with a gift. So is the card,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So very seldom, unless the card has money in it, right?
Yeah. I find that fascinating, actually. I never
Yeah,
knew that. I love
yeah.
that.
So, but I'm tickled pink every time I receive a card from you guys, from our friends from all over the world. That's why I showcase them in my center, right? So your cards are gonna be there. And then I have the last two ones that I created where it's not really the theme is not really that of for Philippines, about the Philippines, but it is made by a Filipino artist. Okay, so this sticker, it's actually a sticker, is made by Jano Zate. We call her the erudite artist. She is one super awesome artist. She actually is one of the many or several, or actually we can say few. Okay, Filipinas who have been able to do or become design team members internationally, right? So she there you go, this is one of her products. So this is actually part of her planner, okay, her planner series, but I chose this one because I know Lynn loves teal, right? So and
And
then I just
she's,
yes.
so she illustrated that.
Yes, she illustrated this, she printed this, she does everything. Okay, for her products. She does the
Yeah.
printing, the drawing, illustrating, and if you see her work, oh my goodness. I learned a lot from her when it comes to like layering and clustering and putting in, so, because when I was starting, I thought, why did I do that and then eventually just put stuff on top of it, right? So, but that's how she is. She would mess up all the background, do all the mixed media, and then by the time you know it, they're all covered up. But it's the overall look
Right,
that is
right.
achieved because of that. So you cannot have that final look unless you actually did all of those layers. So she is an amazing artist. So of course I
Well,
just did something very simple. I just added the faux pearls, Lynn. As I said, the
yeah.
Philippines and this side of the globe, we are known for like South Sea pearls. Right, but
Hmm.
I can't afford to put a South Sea pearl on a card, so
But I
these are
don't think anyone would expect you to, Lala.
these are just faux pearls, right? Just to simulate still, right? That there is that, of elegance and forever beauty, right? So
And
there,
something natural, which I
yes,
feel
something
like,
natural.
that
That goes
last
with
card.
the card stock, craft. Yes.
Exactly. Because I
Mm-hmm.
kind of feel like that last one is a good example of maybe something that's a bit of a hybrid, right? Something that
Yes.
has a little bit of
The
the
camera is going bonkers.
aesthetics of, yeah, the traditional craft, and you've got a lot of texture in that teal background too that also
Mhm.
feels like very natural, and then the pearls feel very natural, but then you're using products that do have, well, they were illustrated by a Filipina, they
Mhm.
do have a resonance with maybe, the US market, because she
Yes,
does
she
sell
does
to
look
the
like a
US.
princess, right?
Right, exactly. She almost looks like a
Mm.
Disney princess to me. So,
Exactly, right? So,
so it does feel it feels very possible to create something that
mhm,
bridges both worlds. And
exactly.
so I love
Okay.
those
Oh,
cards, Lala.
last, Lynn. All right.
Oh,
Just a mini tag. Okay. Again, from the same artist, Janus Azate. If you would look at her gown, that is actually the Philippine flag. So that's the blue, the red, and the star of our flag.
no. Oh, cool.
Right. So
See,
she incorporated it in her artwork.
yeah. So
And
I
then it says
love,
embrace independence. Awesome, right?
yeah, and I love that as an artist, she is embracing both cultures because she's
Yes.
bringing, Filipino culture into her art and making something that a US consumer would also see as beautiful with. So it's very lovely that she has done that in her art to try to bridge the cultures. So, that's something where I do kind of wish maybe US companies would
Mm-hmm.
maybe adopt a smidgen of that, right? Because, if they can bring a little bit of this culture and a little bit of that culture, think how much
Yes.
bigger their market would be. And I feel like that's, a true collaboration when two people can bring what they're good at
Mhm.
and by joining forces create something bigger than they might have been able to do on their own. And I think, for companies, whether they're US based or outside of the US, having
Mhm.
designers international to you, outside of your native country, embrace what that person, what that designer can bring to you, and that includes a bit of their culture, and that includes a
Yes.
bit of
I know it's
what.
hard to embrace, right? Because it's kind of scary as well, probably for manufacturers. Yes, of course, you no one can design for anything if the companies are not there, right? So we really need to, help each other out. That's why I always say, support your local craft in this industry and resellers because they are the ones who bring it here to us so that we don't need to have them ship or from
Right,
wherever, right?
right,
So, but if you would always, and also sometimes, although we love discounts, sometimes we know try not to always buy on discount because it
that's true.
also helps out the companies as well. Being an entrepreneur myself, I do understand both sides, right? So how it is to be a business owner and how it is also to be, part of the other side. You're the customer, right?
Right,
So
yeah,
otherwise, maybe this hobby of ours or passion, may not be available for us in the future. But hopefully, I think
yeah,
that's going to happen though. But,
yeah.
yeah.
So, Lala, this has been really fascinating to get to chat with you while you craft,
Mhm.
get to see some of the local materials because I've never seen anything. I know you've sent me things actually in the past, but I feel like getting a peek at what is locally produced in the Philippines, that's been such a treat. And seeing you make some cards that are just a beautiful but very different aesthetic to what I normally see on your channel is I wish I would love to see more of that. So I hope you do more of that.
Yeah, you inspired me.
And
I might, feature some more others. Like I can add seashells. Seashells is something that we also have a lot
yeah,
of
I
seeing,
would lo- yeah.
7,100 islands or more, depending on if it's high tide or low tide, right?
Yeah, so
Right.
that would be amazing to see.
Mhm. Yes.
So just to wrap up, if there was something or a couple things that you would like to
Mhm.
see different about our community or even our marketplace, the
Mhm.
crafting, economy, or the dynamic of companies and their designers. Anything at all? Is there anything that you would change? Is there anything that if you were to dream big, what would
Mm.
that look like? What would that be?
All right. That international designers do not just become like a segment. All right. So it's like major designers, and then you have international designer, right? So it's like we're an add on, right? So, but I do understand. There are many considerations, my friends, and to just be a part of an international design team of any brand is an honor in itself. But again, this is what Lynn is saying, dream big, right? So that more opportunities be given in terms of also the design, as you said, if we can be more inclusive of the persons, where they are from, right? So that their regionality, so to speak, or culture can have a peek into the things that they you know they put out as a product, so to speak. So
Yeah.
those things. But right now, I love that the community is also already even design teams. I have met so many amazing people, on this earth, the most kind, right? Creative. That's another thing. Being part of a design team, you don't only be able to showcase, you also learn, right? So I've learned so many other things as well. So just given more opportunities to actually showcase one's individuality, as well as being where they are as a region, and just opportunities to be given more, okay, projects and stuff, not just because shipping is an issue. Right? So that one, and I know it's gonna come. It's just a matter of, if it's just a matter of time. Again, thank you
Yeah.
so much, Lynn, for giving this opportunity to talk and craft with you about something that is so relevant, not to just me, but I'm sure there's a lot of people like me who has been on the fence for a very long time, decades. Okay, I'm already in the 50 plus level before I actually got the courage, right, to to try out being part of a design team, right? So don't need to be young, old, whatever it is, just try it and do it. Again, thank you so much, Lynn.
So thank you. Those are like beautiful, encouraging words. Can't agree with you more.
Mhm.
To remind folks, Lala, where can they find you if they want to see more of your beautiful work?
Oh, thank you. Right. So I'm Mummy Guide Inc. All right. On all the platforms. But my main platform, of course, is YouTube. So I do go live and most of the time and upload videos and even shorts, and especially showcase products from where I am part of the design team.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Lala. It's been a
All right.
blast.